Hi, I am John from Just Whiskey. If you like today's show, please give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and consider becoming a Patreon with the link in the description below. And thanks so much for the Patreons that I do have that help support this channel. Much appreciated. And also a special shout out to a new Patreon, a good friend of mine by the name of Misha. And we are in a whiskey group, and we swap samples and enjoy drams together. So on my Patreon channel, exclusive videos, once or twice a month, I do a sample review, courtesy of my friend Misha, and so thank you very much. And maybe that will give you, everyone else out there, an incentive to become a Patreon as well, where you'll be able to see exclusive Patreon reviews, albeit samples, but still, there's quite a variety on there. So check it out. While I'm doing shout outs, I just recently went to the Cape Cod Brew Fest, Beer Fest, a couple of weeks ago. And if you go to beer fests or county fairs and things like that, where there's lots of vendors, like the agricultural fairs, like the Topsfield Fair or the Big E. These are all things in the Massachusetts area, but there's also, New England fairs and things of that nature. You'll come across a cigar stand, possibly, and I went to one, and I've had these cigars before at other events. But what's interesting is the cigars are high quality, hand rolled. I don't know where the tobacco comes from. I'm not sure on that. Even on their website, I couldn't find it. But two nice folks, I believe they're husband and wife, Jonathan and Grace, and they own, their company is called Alcohol Infused Cigars.com. Alcohol Infused Cigars. Says it all. So they'll have several cauldrons, and these cigars, I don't know how they do it, but they're infused with, the one I just smoked a couple yesterday actually was from a Glenlivet 12. They also have bourbon and brandy and cognac and rum, and I don't know how they do it, but they disclose that there's no residual alcohol content in the cigar, and it's really tastefully done. It's just an enjoyable, mild smoke, but when you just before you light it, if you wet your lips to it, you'll get some sweetness and some hints of the flavors. But when I smoked the Glenlivet 12, it was a really, really nice smoke. But yeah, but I couldn't tell you that it was a Scotch or infused cigar. So the flavors are very, very subtle. I haven't had all of them. I have a feeling probably the cognac and the rum might be a little bit more distinct. I think the cigars run around $10 each, 3 for $25, and the more you buy, bigger discounts. But yeah, alcoholinfusedcigars.com. Check it out if you're interested. You'll probably see them at one of the local fairs if you're in the New England area. I'm not sure how far they travel. But anyway, today we are going to be talking about and reviewing the newest Cask Exploration series from Bruichladdich. This is the Port Charlotte PMC 01. It was distilled in 2013 and bottled 9 or 10 years later. This is a 9-year age statement on here. And the first 4 years were in ex-bourbon, and then the last 5 years were in the Pomeral wine casks. So a total of 9-year maturation. And PMC, the P is probably for Pomeral, but PMC, I would abbreviate this is a masterpiece. And Bruichladdich and Kilchoman on Islay, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're the only two distilleries on Islay that do everything from distilling, maturation, and bottling. Everything on Islay. Maybe Ardnahoe, they're going to be releasing something next year, I think. I'm not sure what they are, but right now my understanding is Bruichladdich and Kilchoman. So Bruichladdich, everything is done on Islay from start to finish right here in the bottle. And this is a 750 milliliter bottle. Okay, so that's nice. The price, so the ABV on this, they don't say if it's cask strength or not, so I have no idea, but the ABV is a healthy 54.5% ABV. The retail on this in my area is about $150. And I know what a lot of people say is, well, yes, it is good, and it maybe is better than the Port Charlotte 10-year-old, which probably get now for $60 to $70. So this is double the price of that. But if you compare this to Octomore, this is about half the price, or close to half the price of most Octomores. So it's kind of like, in my opinion, the poor man's Octomore. Although, $150 is nothing to sneeze at. But that's how I look at it. The Port Charlotte 10, depending on batch, I've had some awesome batches and some ones that were a little bit anticlimactic for me. The only other Cask Exploration series I had was I have a bottle, but I had a sample of the first one that they came out with, MRC, I believe. So I really can't compare this to the last one, the Sauternes, which I'm very interested in getting. Because Octomore, one of my favorite Octomores was the Octomore 10.2, which was a Sauternes finish, and that was like 8-year-old Octomore. So most Octomores are 5 years old. So this one here is 9 years old. All right, I think we've covered most of the details. Let's get into the nosing and tasting, shall we? I can tell you right now, I really enjoy this. Give it some time in the glass to oxidize. The longer, the better. And I'm going to talk about water in a little bit. I do think this takes water rather well, and I do recommend it depending. Okay. Okay, so there's a richness on the nose. And the peat's there, the smoke. And I'm getting that old sherry leather with just a slight hint of sulfur in a good way. And that's what a good old sherry kind of reminds me of. Not that this is sherry, but that's what I'm getting from this. Getting some raisin, bubble gum, and some dark fruits in there, like plums, that kind of a thing. It's a bit chalky on the nose, and some honey. All right, on the palate. This is really nice. Sometimes when I drink it, I can pick up a little bit of heat. Okay. But after a couple drams of it, a couple sips of it, that dissipates. But there's a it's a sweet, nice sweetness to it, sweet and dry. That sherry leather is there. Strawberry Twizzlers, strawberry licorice, honey, candied cigarettes. Those dark fruits are in there. But what I noticed when I added like a half capful of water to maybe a 1 ounce pour, really knocked it down quite a bit. Those the fruits really popped and came to the forefront. More like the juicy fruits, more red fruits. So I do recommend this, even at that price. But if you're picking up a little bit of heat, just throw a little bit of water in there, and see what happens. The finish. Let's go on the finish here. Not super overly complex, but there's a decent amount going on there, even on the finish. This is a medium long finish. The sweetness, there's some dryness. I really enjoy this. To me, there's a sophistication to this, and it, in one way, and I'm just totally guessing, but in one way, I would say the ex-bourbon casks bring a little too much youth to it, but the Pomeral wine casks seem more mature. Okay, if that makes any sense. So I think there's a little yin and yang going on there. Maybe it could have spent a little bit more time in the ex-bourbon, or maybe those ex-bourbon casks were, I don't want to say tired by any means, but maybe there was some first and second fill in there. But yeah, to me, I think that's why maybe it was in there in the wine cask for the 5 years. My opinion, what do I know? Maybe another year or 2 or 3 in bourbon casks. Maybe it wouldn't have needed as long in the wine casks. But nevertheless, with that minor flaw in it, if you want to call it a flaw, which can be compensated by just a few drops of water. I'm going to score this a solid 88. I really enjoy this. And I've been really slowing down on my purchases. And I actually passed on this when it first came up in my area. But I had a sample of it and I was really impressed. And so I went out and bought the bottle. And also too on the finish, you're picking up that chimney, I'm not gonna say chimney smoke, but like not even chimney ash, but just chimney, like a sooty chimney, with the peat there. But it's all integrated very well. I think it's, for what it is, it's fairly well balanced as well, with a little bit of that yin and yang with the ex-bourbon and the Pomeral wine casks. So an 88, and again, a special shout out to our new Patreon, Misha. Thanks for the samples, Misha, and long may we run. All right, so hats off to you folks, and take care, and remember, it's just whiskey.